Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Let's
Surprise,
go.
traders! How are we doing today? Feeling a little
I'll wake
under
up to
the
it.
weather, so that's why I am being a little bit quieter today. But we wanted to make this video for you guys anyway. We're covering stock ticker NIO today, baby. Standing for Nio, and I'm going to be giving you the short-term look as well as the macro look and why I think something significant is developing on this stock. I want to give a quick shout out to the Nio shareholders and subscribers, given 137 likes on the last video. So make sure to punch the like button and slap the subscribe button, and let's get straight into it, traders, if that is what you want, right? So Nio Stock on the weekly chart. I wanted to cover this specifically for you guys because there is so much value to be found on this chart in multiple different ways, right? So on the weekly chart, we covered that the fact that the Bollinger Bands in the weekly were cruising down, right? Pinching, 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 pinching. And they're only going to get so tight before these bad boys expand in either direction. And you saw that from the sell-off of 43% traders. From that sell-off, we called out this 1 to 3rd trend line tap, as well as the weekly cross on the RSI perfectly marked your bottom on this stock that is now up over 50%. So not to give ourselves a little pat on the back, pat on the shoulder, but that is what we're looking at here as you see the weekly Bollinger Bands begin to expand. Now currently you are trading outside of these Bollinger Bands. Not only is that bullish because you're causing these bands to begin to expand, so often traders, when these things expand, that is where you see volatility. And that's the name of the game, right? You want to see shorts, you want to see longs, you want to see people pick up interest in this stock. You want to see the volume go crazy, and it is, right? One thing to caution you though is even though on the weekly chart you're closing at a bullish hammer candle outside of this trading formation, watch, right? Watch. So often, although you can close outside of it, so often do you come back inside of the weekly Bollinger Bands because 99% of price action is within them, right? You can see these long wicks when you're outside, you close below. You're just got your close outside, you fell back below. So what you want is long-term, strong, healthy price action, because if you see these blips, right, it's very possible that you fail to hold this, come back down, and either test the weekly mid-band sitting at 518 or 560, one of the most important levels on Nio's macro, right? So this is something that we've talked about for a very long time. You can see the bounces off of it, right? Rejection, retest of it. 560 holding above this is going to be the long-term Nio bull thesis, right? You need to see this thing hold if you want to see the gains and the shmoney, the schmeckles, come back from this inverted head and shoulders pattern. And I want to be a little bit more clear for you guys because this thing is one of the nastiest setups in the entire market right now. You can see a pitch perfect shoulder, pitch perfect head, pitch perfect shoulder. And we weighed this out last time, right? If you guys remember, we took the first shoulder being 273 days. And then we took the second shoulder, 273 days, lands right around June, right? So if you're going to see a small cap season, June is so popular of a month. Typically, June is historically green for a lot of the small cap stocks. So the fact that history is repeating, right? These things oftentimes are symmetrical, and maybe you have to bump your head against 771 again, chop, create new support, right? And then rip, because the profit target from this, guys, is no small task. It's insane. Almost $20 on Nio Stock. That's insane, right? I mean, you could take the measurement. It's going to take so much to get up 206%. But the problem is, for short sellers, is the setup is there. And we're going to continue to cover it, right? It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. On the daily time frame, you are bouncing off of the RSI band. That is bullish confirmation, although you are printing an inside bar after seeing this bearish engulfing candle. Now, not the worst case scenario because you're up freaking 6%, right? But you did see this gap fill yesterday, currently sitting at 620, right? So that could just be a back test and then expansion, right? So that's what we're watching for on Nio Stock. A lot of strength on this bad boy as you potentially ride back out to 771. Let's cover it on Webull, though, because Webull does a beautiful, beautiful job of outlining the MAs, right? And what you've just done today is exactly that. You've bounced off of your daily 9-day EMA. You've then found a pretty significant bounce up 6%. So what I'm watching for this stock is, can you close higher volume? Otherwise, you're just finishing with an inside bar that is bearish, right? Seeing your max volume be red would be a sign of capitulation, right? And you may round up here, tap 560, and then create a head and shoulders, right? Shoulder, head, right shoulder. And nobody wants that, right? Nobody wants that. So we are watching closely the volume profile on this stock, as well as on the weekly, right? What you just got. Your 9 weekly EMA crossing through the 50, giving you bullish momentum. You need to close the week on higher volume. If this is going to close at these highs, traders, we've done exactly what we talked about, right? We're continuing to cruise higher. We need to see higher volume here. We need... Sorry, that was my energy drink. We need to see the follow through. So that's what we're watching here on Nio Stock for the weekly chart. On the quarterly chart, we are ever so close, guys. We are getting closer and closer by the day of getting a quarterly MACD cross after this long-awaited consolidation, right? You're forming a base here. I think that's what I want you guys to take away, right? The same way that you had an inverted head and shoulders on this bottom, you got the same thing here, baby. So, I mean, this thing has me licking my lips. Absolutely excited that the best things are yet to come. On the daily chart, though, right, let's zoom all the way out. You do have multiple gaps to the downside if this does fail to break out. I'm eyeing the gap that you filled already, right, which was, what was it, 659 you filled yesterday. And then you have a gap sitting at 711. So I do believe you're going to fill that gap before any significant retrace. But if this is a failed breakout and a head and shoulders, right, it's very possible you come all the way back down to about that $5 flat resistance and then 459 in the worst case scenario. Now, I don't anticipate 459. I really don't, because any back test here, traders, is going to be significantly bullish, right? Let me say that again, bullish to the stock's breakout, because you have this flat resistance, 560, right? Our number one resistance that you've broken out of, retested a golden freaking cross, guys, with both indicators sloping up. This is a bullish breakout. And I do expect you to continue to cruise towards the $7 price target. Now, I'd be remiss if I did not cover the broader market here, because it does play a huge factor into this Nio small cap thesis, right? You have multiple gaps. You have a gap to the downside, which is huge, and you have a gap to the upside, right? Currently sitting at 268.94. Your gap to the downside is from that crazy gap up on all stocks, giving from the ceasefire, right? That's currently sitting at 253.48. Now you've broken out. You've done it, right? This is a falling broadening wedge. In case you guys are unaware, falling broadening wedge is a bullish reversal pattern in which you would take the length of that wedge, right? Shout out to these guys. You take the length of the wedge, and that's your profit target. And that's what I'm watching for this breakout on IWM, right? You have a beautiful test of the 200-day EMA. I know I'm kind of whispering at you guys, but I can't contain my excitement here. It's exciting stuff when you guys have the opportunity to make money. I'm always jacked, right? You have a price target from the falling broadening wedge of 284.34. You take a little technically confluent, right? This could be very much like Bitcoin, a much larger structure here if you come all the way up on the extension to tap your head at 300, right? Very possible that you do that and then you come all the way back down to fill this gap. It would suck. It would not be my first option, but it's possible, right? Either that or you fall back into the wedge, make a bullishly divergent higher low, and then you spring out of here. both are good options, right? So in case you guys are new, I always do this because we have a lot of new people on the channel. Subscribe, right? We have our macro thesis that IWM is in a cup and handle where you broke out and retested the freaking handle, right? The neckline. From that breakout, you tapped the 50-day weekly EMA. You're now rocket shipping off of it, right? The one worrying thing is your volume profile is going down. Off of these breakouts, right? That was never the case. You saw this right shoulder and then volume pick up. Off of this neckline being broken, you saw volume generally, right, pick up. Off of this neckline, you saw a huge spike in volume. So that is the one thing that concerns me genuinely that you might retrace here. But right now, I just want to say you look strong. You're above the 9-day EMA on the 50. You're getting that weekly MACD cross, and you're getting a potential breakout on the macro. So all things are exciting right now to me. And when I go to IWM, just to give you guys why it matters, right? Because it matters for Nio Stock. You pull up Nio, and I want to get a new plane, and I want to get rid of the RSI. And I just want to look at what it typically does when you go up, right? And we're going to go to the previous run-up on Nio Stock, which is COVID. Look at the gains from $3 or $2 all the way up to $69 or $66, right? That happened during this run-up. Quantitative easing, the Fed was printing money, and small cap assets outperformed the broader market. That is what I believe to be happening here. And I believe there's a huge opportunity for Nio investors to profit off of this. You see it even on the line chart, right? Inverted head and shoulders. What happens when you break where my cursor is, right? With volume, with fundamentals, the thing does this, right? So I want to go over one more thing on Nio Stock because it's very, very important. I've been reading into Webull. Webull's news has some pretty good stuff, actually. I'd recommend you guys go through it. Because although not everything is news-driven, I believe technicals drive a lot of the market. This is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing that someone posted on Nio, saying, does Nio's first profit and ES9 flagship launch transform the bull case for Nio? Question mark, right? And it goes over how Nio issued its first quarterly profit in 2026, unveiling new flagship SUV ahead of June deliveries. Beyond the delivery surge, though, right? Nio's push into the house smart driving chips battery swapping infrastructure and the multi-brand lineup signals a broker shift towards a vertically integrated EV system. Next, we'll examine how Nio's first ever quarterly profit and ES9 flagship launch reshaped the company's existing investment narrative, right? Because with not just deliveries hitting all-time highs, profitability hitting all-time highs, what's going to matter in the broader spectrum is what's your margin, right? Are you cutting your costs and expanding your top line? That is what's going to make or break the business case for Nio Stock. And I think we sit today in a very strong position. So not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor at all. But if you guys found value in this, if you guys could hit the subscribe button, help the algorithm find this channel. I just want to say before you leave, God bless each and every single one of you. And remember, the best is yet to come. Let's go, traders. Let's go.